The Parable of the Mountain Climber. Once upon a time in a small village nestled at the foot of a towering mountain, there lived a young man named Jack. This mountain was no ordinary peak, it was said to be insurmountable. Many had tried to reach its summit, but all had failed, returning with tales of treacherous paths, fierce storms, and sheer cliffs. Jack, however, was different. From a young age, he had dreamed of standing at the top of that mountain, feeling the wind on his face and looking down at the world below. His friends and family tried to dissuade him, saying, "It's too dangerous, and no one has ever made it." But Jack's heart was set. One crisp morning, as the sun began to rise, Jack set off on his journey. He packed only the essentials: a rope, a few days' food, a map, and a heart full of determination. As he climbed, the path grew steeper and more perilous. The higher he went, the thinner the air became, and the colder the wind blew. Yet, with each step, Jack reminded himself of his goal. Days turned into nights, and Jack faced challenges that tested his strength and resolve. There were moments when he slipped, hanging onto the edge of a cliff by his fingertips, and nights when he shivered uncontrollably in the biting cold. But every time doubt crept into his mind, he recalled a lesson his father had taught him: when you feel like giving up, remember why you started. One evening, after what felt like an eternity of climbing, Jack found himself at a plateau just below the summit. Exhausted and bruised, he gazed up at the final ascent. It was the steepest part yet, and dark clouds gathered above, threatening a storm. Many would have turned back, but Jack saw this as the ultimate test of his will. As he began the final climb, the storm unleashed its fury. Rain lashed against his face, and lightning illuminated the dark sky. But Jack pressed on, driven by an inner fire that refused to be extinguished. Each step was a battle, each breath a victory. Finally, just as dawn broke, Jack pulled himself over the last ledge. He stood at the summit, drenched and battered, but victorious. The world lay spread out before him, a breathtaking panorama that made every hardship worthwhile. In that moment, Jack understood that the true victory was not just reaching the top but conquering the fears and doubts within himself. Jack's story spread through the village, inspiring others to chase their own dreams. They realized that while the path to success is fraught with challenges, perseverance and belief in oneself are the keys to overcoming any obstacle. And so, the village changed. People began to pursue their own mountains, inspired by Jack's unyielding spirit. They understood that the journey might be tough, but the view from the top was always worth it. Remember, we all have our own mountains to climb. When the path gets tough, and you feel like giving up, think of Jack. Let his story remind you that no dream is too big, no journey too hard, and no goal too distant if you have the courage to climb.